So my name is Carl Anderson. I work for the Sunlight Foundation, which is based in Washington, D.C. We're a non-partisan and a non-profit organization about government accountability and transparency. So we're all about opening up government data, data that should be freely available to the citizens of the US, and making it freely available. So the government is mandated to make available some of its data, but it's made in such a way that it's really difficult to use, either because the data is very non-standardized, it's very odd formats, or it's PDFs, it's not searchable. And so we fund a number of other organizations to take that data and open it up to systems. And so the name of the Sunlight Foundation comes from Chief Justice Brandeis, who said that sunlight is the best of disinfectants. So if we can expose what's going on in government by making the whole steps of how a bill becomes law, what are the spheres of influences, what's the relationship between money and voting and power and politics? You know, what is affecting how the government is run in Washington DC, particularly at federal level, where we work principally, but more down the state and on the local level. Then it's going to be better for everyone, because effectively, members of Congress, they work for us. I'm not a citizen, but I'm a taxpayer. I live here, and they should be working, for their constituents. So we fund a number of organizations to set up particular databases of data. We help them. I work in the Sunlight Labs, which is the technical side of Sunlight Foundation, to open up that data through APIs, make it as freely as available as it can through XML APIs, JSON as well. So for instance, we funded an organization called FedSpending.org, which has created a database of all government contracts. So you can go and look up Boeing or Halliburton to see how many billions of dollars they got from the US government to do contracts, and how much of that was free and open competition, and how much was closed. We funded a database on lobbying, who the registered lobbyists in DC, and of those who used to work on Capitol Hill. Because often when someone is meeting a senator and they're trying to propose some lobbying, they work for that person 6 months before. They used to be on their staff. And so there's a lot of corrupting influences in US politics. A lot of it is tied to money. And our goal is just to open up that process. Have a lot of citizen journalists and a lot of citizen watchdoggers who are watching what's going on, who are tracking what senators are doing. And another part of our activity is we call it the Punch Clock Campaign. So the Punch Clock Campaign. So a lot of us, when we go to work, I arrive at 9 o'clock and I do my hours and I finish at 5, and we're accountable that this is what I'm doing. I'm here at work for 8 hours a day, and members of Congress don't do that. They work on average three days a week, and they complain about doing that. We actually have the least sort of productive, the least active Congress in history last year. The fewest hours of actual activity in the Senate, the number of votes ever. And so we ran a campaign where we put a bounty of $1,000 per person who could get their representative, their senator, their member of Congress to put their daily schedule online. And so we had 92 candidates who were running. We had a small bounty for them. One of them got elected. This is Kristen Gillibrand from New York. And so she put her schedule online. And so then John Tester started putting his schedule online. So we now have 5 people putting their daily schedules. So you can see at least there's a certain proportion of time they're meeting with lobbyists, a certain proportion of time they're actually voting or meeting with constituents. So it's a very small beginning, but I think the overall idea is very good. this track, okay, they only spend three days a week working for Congress. What are they doing with those 3 days? So again, the whole idea of citizen journalists and watchdogging, watching Congress, anti-corruption through transparency of actions, and watching what's going on. So that's the Sunlight Foundation.
So your NPO, how are you funded?
We have a principal benefactor, whose name is Mike Klein. He was a lawyer at a law firm and made lots of money in real estate. And so he's DC based, he's very into his anti-corrupting agenda. And so he funds our organization. But this year we got $2 million from the Omidyar network. So Pierre Omidyar founded eBay. He has a foundation, and they just contact us one day saying, "We love what you're doing. We'd like to give you some money." So that is great external validation. We don't particularly need that money, but it's great to have that. And we're going to give $1 million of that in grants this year, another $1 million for other projects that we're doing internally. So that's how we've done it.
So how is the government reaction to your activities? Do you
in a
get
sense, a lot of the government's IT is just very backwards. One of the problems is that in Congress itself, the IT structure is controlled by what's called the franking office. So it's when you have a letter, you can put a stamp in it, or you can put a rubber stamp called a frank. And so it's an old office that's been around for a long time that came out of very old technology. It's called, it's like a frank. And so it's a very old committee that runs this. People who are very out of touch with what's going on in modern technology. And they're the ones that run, members of websites, members of Congress's websites. And so we're actually working with lots of different organizations, working together about how this can be opened up, and we're making recommendations to Nancy Pelosi. We're going to give her a report on exactly what can be done to the Congress's IT structure and web pages to make things better, make them open, to make them more useful and relevant to systems. So that's one very sort of positive thing, but generally in terms of lots of different agencies and things, they don't get the new technology, new ways of sharing, why it should be as open as it is. We're trying to change that, and certainly I think that we have some influence. We did a project last year called about exposing earmarks. Earmarks. So an earmark is a budget item that is added to a bill. So there are lots of bills where you might look and it might just say, let's give $1 million to this hospital. And that's all it says. There's nothing about who proposed this, and it might be in a bill that has nothing to do with medicine, the medical industry. It's a way of senators and members of Congress getting money to their constituency, because maybe they get campaign contributions, but it has a name of pork. It's never debated. The people who know the medical industry and what would be the best use of taxpayers' money are not the ones who are making this decision. If we have $1 million, what's the best place to spend it? So we did sort of campaign where we had a whole range of different organizations that range from very far right, the Heritage Foundation, to very far left, all working together to the single Health and Human Services Appropriations Bill. So this is one bill. They divided up into chunks, gave each chunk to a different person, and they read through their section of the bill, pulled out the earmarks, and put them into one big spreadsheet and gave it to me. So this had 1,800 earmarks, totaling $500 million, just from one bill. So I took that spreadsheet and I put it into Google Maps. So you go in the box, so you can type in your address. Google Maps, zooms in. And here are the earmarks. You say, we have indicators with different earmarks. So you can look in what money is going to your area. Partly, and that got a lot of press because of the collaboration between the far left and the far right to do that. But one positive thing about that, partly because that press, a lot of people were speaking about earmarks. At the same time, there was a bill, the Coburn-Obama bill about earmarks and transparency. The Office of Management and Budget, who manage these big budgets and actually pay out $1 million and things, they are now releasing CSV databases of all the earmarks. They've just released in the last 2 weeks a spreadsheet of 15,000 earmarks. It totals $19 billion of all the money that they've given to these different organizations that were earmarks and bills that weren't debated. So I think that's partly from this exposure of having a map about earmarks and a lot of activity, a lot of people talking about this issue of earmarks, and at the same time people debating the issue of earmarks on the House floor. So I think that slowly we can get actually government agencies to help open up their data. There is in fact an XML schema for government data. Not a lot of people use it, not a lot of people know about it, but the publishing arm of the government does use some of that, and we were trying to help open that up and make a lot of the data available in XML right from the source, and that will be the goal. The Sunlight Foundation would not exist, and we hope they would not exist if the government is free and transparent, the data is freely available, and is searched in a form that's readily searchable. It's XML, so people's cross-reference, standard IDs, standard terms, and XML schemas. That's where we'd like to get to.
Thank you.